Hey y'all. So a quick message before we get on to your video. I have posted a new installment of This Is Me. It is the most important This Is Me video I have ever posted or likely will post. That is no pomp and circumstance, that is the tea. So if after this video you can head on over and watch it, that would mean the world to me. The link to that video will be in the description box below of your reading. And with that being said, on to your reading. Thanks. Hey Gemini, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be taking a look at your second half of October general reading here. So in your meditation, really interesting, but isn't it always? I saw the image of a maze and I kind of had like a bird's eye view, but also I was able to see like up close as well. So I saw the image of this maze and I'm looking at it from above and I see the image of this cobra, hanged man energy. Which is trying to go through this maze, but it's not having much luck because the way that it's approaching the way forward is by, think about how a cobra might move forward, right? It's through an attack, through lunging, right? It's trying to get through this maze, but it's not working out so well. It keeps crashing into walls. It keeps, getting beat up a bit because it's not seeing very clearly. It's all action and no detail, no insight, right? Then I see this little mouse and the mouse is just like acing this maze. It's like it's seeing what's around the corner. It's remembering where it's been so it doesn't repeat itself. It's calculated thought, attention to detail, and its body is even more fit for this maze, right? It's smaller. It's almost as if it has adapted or been made adaptable so that it can work through this maze. And then it comes out the other side and I see the image of the Justice key, Libra energy, and I see these two big scales. And I see the mouse go up on one side of the scale, just unscathed, just aced this maze, just boop, 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 out of the maze, onto the scale, out of the maze, onto the scale, and just, and then I saw the cobra finally make it out of this maze, and this poor cobra is all beat up. I mean, it is beat up. It looks like it has been through it. And it goes over to the scale, and it's so tired that it just raises up and it just slumps over onto the scale where it's just its head and it's like needs a good sleep. And the mouse is just like, what took you so long? Which is really interesting because when I think about it at first glance, we have prey and predator, right? Because cobras, snakes, right? They eat mice. So that's really interesting. We have cobra energy, which is representative of hanged man energy, which is about taking time out, taking a pause in order to, it's an active timeout, in order to flip one's energy and see something from a different perspective. But it is a pause or a timeout or stalemate of some sort, right? And then we have mouse energy, which is Two of Pentacles energy, which is about juggling. It's about juggling the personal and the work, the practical and the fantasy. It's about juggling and being able to see something from both sides so that you have access to all the information, which is you, Gemini. That's what you guys are known for. When you guys, and so it goes, you guys are often able to do this really well for other people. It can be hard to do anything for ourselves as well as we do for other people, honestly. But you guys are really brilliant at being able to see person A's perspective and person B's perspective and then finding the middle ground, right? So it's really interesting. It's almost like if I had to equate you to like an animal medicine, it might be the zebra for that very reason, because zebra energy is all about the gray. It's about the middle ground. It's that temperance energy of I'm able to see both sides of something without judgment or leaning to one side more than the other. And because of that, because of my willingness to engage from a spirit of equilibrium, everybody wins because nobody wins. There's no clear winner. It's like everything is equal. Everything is balanced. So it's very interesting how this is coming through. So again, with that justice energy in the scales, that Libra energy is really all about that equilibrium, but also everything being, if you think about, Lady Justice being blind, right? Also in the Justice key, Lady Justice is holding the sword of truth, the Ace of Swords in one hand, and then the scales in the other. So there's an aspect of that, in blindness, we are able to see clearly, which is really what that's saying is without bias, we can perceive truth. Interesting. Let's go ahead and see what your cards say. Hey, Gemini, let's go ahead and see what your animal energy is for second half of October. Second half of, oh, I love it. This, I would think that this animal energy would come out more, but it doesn't. So it feels like this is a special appearance of sorts. So here we have fox energy here for you, which is so brilliant. This is such a welcome energy. So first of all, fox energy, it is earth energy, very grounding, very stabilizing, very reliable. But fox equates to that of the magician in the tarot, right? Which is about, one's own will, force of will, creating one's reality or co-creating one's reality with the universe, about using all of the tools at your disposal to create the life that you truly desire to embody, to experience, to live, right? But here's what I really love about this for you. Because first of all, there's a folk tale about this, and I don't know the origin. Let me know in the comments if you know of what I speak, but there is a fairy tale or a folk story that involves a fox and a cobra, and I can't think of what it is, but fox and cobra are enemies, right? So it's interesting that that's coming up here as well. But look at these fox eyes, right? The animal medicine of fox is about being able to see things through a very clever lens. The fox can see, solutions to things. They can see options. They can see possibilities that nobody else sees. Why? Because they are willing to consider that there is more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infinity ways to approach something. They are not as invested or interested in just landing on a solution. Fox energy is a lot more interested in questions than answers. So that's really interesting that that's coming up for you here, especially since we saw the cobra and that being hanged man energy not making its way through the maze as well as the mouse did, which is able to do more than one thing at a time, to consider more than one angle of something. Remember how we were talking about your Gemini energy being able to see both sides of something equally as well. And then we have fox medicine, which is about how you see things and your ability to perceive solutions where others cannot. This is about thinking outside of the box. And it's interesting because the maze is a box of sorts, right? It's just a very formulated, specific, route through a given structure or box, as it were, right? But we can look at that meditation and consider this fox energy and think, perhaps you are moving through an obstacle course of sorts in order to reach balance, equilibrium, fairness, resolution, right? With that justice key. Very interesting. Let's see what's going on. What's going on, Gemini? Suke. So we have 9 of Swords in the reverse. So I'm going to hold it in the upright for the sake of the visual. But 9 of Swords, this is air energy coming up as you here, but of course as an air sign. But 9 of Swords is very much about, look, she's having some nightmares. She's not sleeping very well. But I'm really drawn to the fact, see how she's got 1 foot, can you see this? 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot up and 1 arm on the ground, almost as if she's in a constant, look, she's got the hand on the sword, on the hilt of the sword. It's almost as if she's in a constant state of readiness to where she can't fully relax. There's this inherent state of vigilance of like needing to be ready or waiting for the other shoe to drop or waiting for the swords to fall, right? Of like, I need to stay ready. I can't fully relax into where I am because it's that level of anxiety or that level of restlessness where the mind, right? Because this is the mind is not allowing the body to truly be at peace and rest and rejuvenate itself, which again is really, really interesting with that meditation, right? Really interesting. But this shows a level of anxiety, restlessness, but also dreamtime messages that want to come through. Now we are moving towards Samhain, aka Halloween. So this is the time where we have, a direct line of access to our ancestors, to those on the other side. The veil is thin. So you do have the magic, the ability, like the magician, in order to perceive wisdom and inspiration in a way that we normally don't, or not to the same extent that we normally do anyway, right? So there's an opportunity here within this 9 of Pentacles, right? It's a 9 of Pentacles. Well, interesting. It's Nine of Swords, but I said Nine of Pentacles. That feels deliberate. We also have the Earth energy here as well. Let's talk about it since it was like Nine of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Okay. So she wants to come out for your reading. I'm going to put her over here. So let's just talk about this. So Nine of Pentacles is about, it's the entrepreneur key. It's about feeling very successful in the work that you do. It's about enjoying your alone time and feeling like all of your efforts have been successful, not because of any given, result in the 3D, but because you made the effort, because you took steps, right? So it's really interesting that that's coming through here. Look at the difference in these two nines. We've got someone who's stressed out and not sleeping well and waiting for the other sword to fall. It's even blocking out the moonlight. Interesting. The swords, the mind, the analysis paralysis, the lack of sleep is blocking out the line of the moon, the light of the moon, which represents psychic ability, which represents the unknown, which represents our ability to perceive clarity amidst confusion and the unknown and fogginess. But the mind is blocking out access to that intuitive insight. Really, 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 really interesting. And look at that, and then look at the Nine of Pentacles here. We've got a hawk right here, which is Two of Wands energy, which is about seeing things very clearly and getting that foundation strong. And then we've got this queen who is literally sashaying through this doorway, feeling very good about life. Why do I feel like there's a jump from here to here and it requires going through the maze to get here? But I feel like the maze is the maze of your own mind, Gemini. You guys have very powerful minds, but it is working through the maze of your own mind. It feels like things can be a lot more clear or a lot easier, really. If you approach it like a mouse would, as opposed to a cobra. A cobra is fast and deadly and effective, but it's not a cobra for every situation. If I had to choose, a cobra or a mouse to get me through a time that was difficult or wrought with questions or a maze or a lot of decisions that need to be made that are delicate in nature, right? I would hands down 1,000% go with the mouse. The mouse is able to see sort of like the fox because they are small, they're close to the ground, right? They're able to see opportunities, right? Ways through that the cobra cannot, right? Also, the cobra's strongest sense is smell, right? But the mouse is able to see very clearly. So it's interesting how that's coming through for you, right? Then you have the Eight of Pentacles. Hello. It's really interesting here because you have another moon here as well. So Eight of Cups is really about, well, practically speaking, I want to say Eight of Cups is about what needs to be left behind so that you can go get your wish fulfillment, because that's Nine of Cups, right? Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. So it's saying like what within your given circumstances, whether this is within you, your own emotional core, your mind patterns, or your given circumstances that is keeping you or needs to be shifted so that you can move on and get what you truly desire and live a life that feels good to you, right? That feels complete, that feels whole, that feels happy. I feel like the Nine of Pentacles is sort of like your goal. I feel like that's what you're hoping is on the other end of this maze in some way, along with the Justice key, right? But the Eight of Cups, this is about if you want to, invite change, if you want something different than what you have or where you are, then certain things need to be left behind. Something that I have found to be true is that the universe is not going to bring us anything new until we show that we have room for it. Until we show that we are already balancing what we have going on, right? It's not going to give us more than we can handle. So sometimes we got to Marie Kondo that stuff in order to really be able to welcome in new things, right? All right, let's go now. Ooh. Our old friend, the Emperor. Very good. So here we have Aries energy. So this is really interesting here because the Emperor is very much about taking authority, taking ownership of your choices, really sitting in the full, seat of your own power and saying, I am responsible for the choices that I make. And I also know that there are people or aspects of my life that also rely on my choices. My choices do not only affect me. They affect the people that I love. They affect, my colleagues at work. They affect my family. They affect me, right? So that's why this crown is very heavy on the emperor's head, because he knows that he's not just making choices that are only going to affect him, right? He feels the weight of it. See how he's looking at the two kids, the little boy and girl playing over here? Because he knows that his choices are very important and reverberate beyond just his own, reality, his own circumstance. So it's really interesting how that's coming through for you here. I have to tell you, I'm noticing a distinct lack of wands here. Like, we have every element represented but the wands. What are wands about? Action, right? Remember the cobra? Cobra is also fire energy. That animal medicine is fire, right? So it's interesting how the medicine feels like it's more pentacles and cups than it is fire and swords, right? So if the medicine is pentacles and cups, that means taking slow and steady progress, step by step, day by day, making choices that also feel good for you and that will affect you and others around you. Maybe not always positively on the outset, but that are necessary, because you know that you want to move everyone and yourself towards that Nine of Cups reality, right? I really feel like there's an aspect of this fox medicine where the fox is able to see things and the emperor is able to see things. There's a lot of things about vision here. I remember Lady Justice being blind, but I feel like you have this ability, Gemini, to see potentials and weigh the options and the pros and cons of something more intricately or innately than those around you. So I'm getting this very distinct call because the emperor, that's a very solitary energy. Yes, he has, the Empress is the counter on the kids, but it's a very solitary energy, right? Because the only one who knows how hard it is to be emperor is the emperor. So there's really something about turning to your own counsel and advice and knowing that while other people may have the best of intentions in their advice for you or what they think you should do or whatever, you can listen and take it in so that they feel heard and know that they're coming from a good place, if they are coming from a good place. But ultimately, you have a Fox Emperor vision going where you're going to be able to know exactly what you need to do within your choices and exactly where you want to be, right? But this is a really beautiful way of really looking at only you know what's best for you. So if you are consulting anyone else other than yourself, or you're putting other people's opinions or what they think above your own knowing, then that is going to result in those scales and the justice key being imbalanced, right? It's interesting too, because we're looking at the cobra with that hanged man energy, but that was very clearly kind of not the way forward with that cobra and that action and flipping that's not the way forward. It's really about inviting in that mouse energy, right? Sometimes with the earth, right? Sometimes we get to where we're going more successfully if it's slow and steady progress, as opposed to sort of bumbling through or just sort of crashing forward, hoping that everything figures itself out. Right? Something about that. Calculated, measured decisions. Calculated, measured decisions feels really important. Let's get some advice. Let's get some advice for Gemini. Perfect. Okay. So here we have direction. So this is, I feel like look at all this. We've got the Emperor here. We've got Eight of Cups walking off into the distance. We've got Nine of Swords, like thinking about what direction to go. We've got Nine of Pentacles going, I made the right choices and I'm moving in the right direction. This is really very much about the path that you're on and having a clear vision about where you want to be, which is going to inform each step along the way. right? But this is having that clear sense of direction. If you really look at this, it's really interesting how this is coming forward. Look, the crow is flying kind of above/amongst the clouds here. And then we have this 9 of Swords here, which is that restlessness, that sleep versus the bright light of day. I feel like a lot of the medicine around this for you is having that really, I want to take this literally, a clear sense of direction. But what I'm really noticing here as well is, see all these crows in the background? See all this murder of crows here, but there's one crow flying solo, right? One crow going it alone off into the atmosphere. There really is this sense. You see that window there in the house? Can you see that? You see that window? I feel like that's the window that she's sleeping under that's blocked by her own mind. And so it feels like the way forward is really about tapping into your own knowing and your intuition within you in order to move forward. Because let's talk about crow medicine. Crow medicine is about intuition. Crow medicine is a hybrid energy between the high priestess and the magician, which you have here, which is an equal balance of tapping into that intuition and knowledge and then taking action around that knowledge, which is magician energy. Again, using the tools at your disposal. And when we look at the tools being represented here, this is about really stepping into the, full access of your own emotional core, what feels good and what doesn't. Really understanding that your mind can be your greatest ally or your biggest impediment, right? And it's really up to you to, I want to say, like, I don't necessarily like the word control, but it's really control your mind. Tend to your mind palace, because for you, Gemini, especially, it can be your greatest resource, right? But not if it's cluttered with a lot of other stuff, not if it's blocking out the light of your own intuition, right? Connect to your knowing. It's going to illuminate your way forward and give you that clear sense of direction. And I do get for you as well, nothing is going to feel better. Nothing is going to feel better than having that clear sense of direction. That feels like it's the medicine and the tea. It really, really does. I would like to get some advice for you. I kind of skipped around a little bit, but I just feel like, no accidents. Let's get some Akashic wisdom for you. I'm feeling like some advice for Gemini. Oh, it's too good. I love that we're ending on this note. Setting your course. 3 of Scrolls. It's way too good. This is very much about, look. Well, it's 2 weeks ahead as the crow flies. I can just see him saying that, right? Like that's what he's saying. These two are going together really, really well. So setting your course is about getting very clear on where you're going. See how he's looking in the telescope there? We're talking about vision with that mouse energy. There's some mice running around on that ship, right? Setting your course, getting that clear sense of direction and really formulating where you want to be amidst clear skies and perspective. Also, that rainbow is a really, really happy sign that when you move forward with clarity and good feeling, the path ahead is going to be blissful. It's going to be happy. It's going to be rainbows, right? Really observe yourself within this. Clear your mind. Sit into your knowing. And make the choices that you need to make from your own integrity. There's nothing else. Nothing else that matters as much as that. And that's really your only responsibility that you have. To stay connected to your integrity and make the choices, the best choices that you can make from where you are. While keeping an eye on where you're going, right? And making sure that you can maintain your vision, your visual of the forest or the trees for the forest, right? Because it feels like I can't see the forest for the trees. And this is saying, keep your sight clear, keep your eye on the trees as they exist within the forest and maintain that clarity. That's really, really important. Again, your mind is your best ally, not your impediment, okay? It's really beautiful, Gemini. So with that being said, I so hope that this helped and resonated. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I love reading your comments. Also, I'm going to ask a favor of you. I have posted a This Is Me video which is always like personal life updates and what's going on. I have a really important message for everybody. So if you could go over and watch that, it relates to this reading and the other readings, I would really appreciate that. And with that being said, please like, share, and subscribe. I would so appreciate it. I will have a link to that This Is Me video in the description box below. And last of all, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.